Jesse Michels just got done releasing an interview with Harold Malmgren, a man who was on his deathbed who claims he touched a UFO material piece. And the interview is pretty interesting.
Malmgren confirmed that the entire bluegill shootdown was an attempt to down a UFO.
Just to catch you up to speed, Bluegill is the project that Harold was claimed to have worked on. Now, this was apparently about shooting down a UFO.
Malmgren explicitly told this to Pippa, his daughter, and Jeffrey Cruikshank. He also told this to Senate intelligence staffer Kirk McConnell, who I interviewed.
What Malmgren reported that he'd been told directly by Bissell is that we downed a UFO that was closely monitoring that test, and it tumbled into the ocean, and that the Navy picked it up.
So the American military knew they could bait UFOs with nukes and destabilize their flight paths with EMPs. See, EMPs disrupt local magnetic fields. It would even locally disrupt the magnetosphere of the Earth.
Now, that was right around the same time that Oppenheimer had gone ahead and created the nuclear bomb that led to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And shortly after we dropped the bomb on those two places, we all came together and wrote up a global contract, essentially, that said we were not going to be using these on ourselves. And this was essentially just something we shelved. And then the testing started. A lot. Everywhere from deserts to oceans to even space in Project Starfish. Another quick correlation that I've seen within all of these specific code names is that they all have to do with something under the water. Bluegill, fishbowl, starfish prime. UFOs are also spotted under the water. Just something to think about as we move forward.
If you're flying at incredible speeds in a UFO, you probably need to use some form of quantum sensing. This would allow you to use the magnetosphere of the Earth in order to navigate. Birds even do this. They use avian cryptochromes to quantum sense the magnetic field of the Earth and navigate home. This form of precision sensing would be necessary in order to navigate a UFO. So when you disrupt the local magnetic field, you could cause a UFO to spin out, lose control, and drop out of the air. Also, UFO propulsion likely requires megavolt range electricity and extremely strong electric field strength over long periods of time, which would require a power source that far surpasses traditional fuel or batteries. I think UFOs have a nuclear propulsion source.
What did he just say? A nuclear power source? Who told us about that?
Fine. Of course, November 5th, 1955.
Why? I don't get what happened.
That was the day I invented time travel. I remember it vividly. I was standing on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a vision, a picture in my head.
The second missing detail here is that when Harold was holding the UFO pieces Lawrence Geis had given him, they seemed to telepathically communicate with him. He heard words in his head when he felt the pieces. This is a very common trope in UFO world when it comes to people handling material firsthand.
Now, let us not forget about the date that Doc had mentioned, which was November 5th, 1955. What happened in November of 1955 exactly? Oh, that's right. Area 51 was created.
A picture of this. This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Does it run like on regular unleaded gasoline?
Unfortunately, no. It requires something with a little more kick. Plutonium.
Telling me that this sucker is nuclear?
No. This sucker's electrical. But I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need.
What did he just say?
So, UFO propulsion likely requires megavolt range electricity and extremely strong electric field strength over long periods of time, which would require a power source that far surpasses traditional fuel or batteries. I think UFOs have a nuclear propulsion source.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said. Look, that's not surprising though. Steven is tied to this stuff deep when it comes to all of this information. I mean, look at the movies he's shot. And A Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a perfect example when it comes to UFO phenomenon. Like, for instance, he worked on that film with J. Allen Hynek, who happened to be a UFO expert and work in the CIA. And him and Steven both had a debate on the set of that movie where J. Allen Hynek told Steven that it was supposed to be people from the future coming back in these UFO ships. Steven said no, he wanted it to be aliens because it was going to make a blockbuster hit. Well, shortly after the creation of The Third Kind, Close Encounters, next thing you know, little old Back to the Future pops up with references like this. I don't know. What do you guys think? Me personally, I don't know if I believe in coincidence. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Wake up.